Well, Jumbo! Hi, my name is Rachel. I'll be your safari guide out there on our 2-week journey through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now, just a couple of important safety reminders before the fun begins. First and most important rule, please remain fully seated at all times, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck, even when we are stopped for the animals. Now, when we see the animals out there, please don't make any noises at them, like whistling or clapping. These sounds can scare the animals away, and we want to do our best to get a nice up-close and personal look if we can. But we're starting our adventure here in the Little Ituri Forest, and right off the bat on the right, that is an okapi. Now, you might think that the okapi is related to the zebra, since it does have its black and white party pants on. But okapis are actually the only known relatives of the giraffe. That's because of the overall shape of their lower bodies, and both giraffes and okapis have really long tongues. The okapi's tongue is so long that they can lick their own eyeball. Ugh. Now, friends, way up in the back to the left, there is a black rhinoceros. Can you see it up there? It really blends in well with the kind of red clay there. I wanted you to see it, even if it was a little tough to spot, because black rhinos are considered a critically endangered species. There are only about 5,000 of them left in the entire world, so we were really lucky to have caught a tiny glimpse of one here on our safari. Now, to the right, there are some bongos. Bongos are the ghosts of the forest, since they camouflage really well with their surroundings, particularly when they are amidst the brush and when the sun shines onto their coats. And then last but certainly not least, over to the left, there are some greater kudus. They have that tan-colored coat. I can tell that they are female, since they do not have any horns on their head. Now, greater kudus are the second largest antelopes on the reserve, and from a standing position, they can leap 8 feet into the air. So we are now heading out of the forest, and we are making our way into the Safi River. Some of the animals here at the Safi like to play hide and seek with us in the water, so we might have to look for a little pair of ears or a nose sticking up outside of the water. In the meantime, if you notice those grayish looking birds to the right, those are called pink-backed pelicans. Despite their smaller size, they still have a pretty large wingspan of roughly 8 to 9 feet wide. So for reference, that's about the width of the canopy above us on this truck. Now, not currently seeing anything in the water over to the left, but that's alright. I have heard that you can spot some Nile crocodiles up ahead, and there they are. Now, Nile crocodiles are very powerful predators. Using their jaws, they are able to snap the bones of their prey. But of course, crocodiles do have a softer side too. They're really great parents. Mama Nile crocodiles in particular do a lot of work to set their young up for success. One example of this is that if the babies are having a hard time hatching, Mama Nile crocodiles will rattle the eggs around in her jaw in order to help the babies out and to make the hatching process easier for them. It looks like our surroundings are changing here. I'm seeing some more trees and some more brush. So that's an indication that we are making our way into the African savanna. And speaking of trees, to the right, that's called a baobab tree. Baobab trees play a key part of the ecosystem here, since they can store thousands of gallons of water inside their trunks for about 9 months out of the year. So because the animals rely on this tree as a water source, that's why baobab trees are nicknamed the Tree of Life. So it looks like the first animal that we'll see here on the savanna to the right, kind of toward the tree line, with those really large horns. Those are the Ankole cattle. They are known for their horns, which can measure up to 6 feet from tip to tip. Now their horns are surprisingly light though. They only weigh about 5 to 10 pounds each. That's because they're made up of a really lightweight honeycomb structure, which allows the Ankole cattle to release excess body heat through their horns. Kind of like their own personal air conditioning unit. That must be nice, huh? Now, as we pass by this cave, to the left inside of that cave, there are some African wild dogs. They're also called painted dogs. That's because of the beautiful painted patterns that they have on their coats, as you can see there. Probably all sheltered from the rain. Now, although they are very adorable, taking a little afternoon snooze, don't let the cuteness fool you though. They are excellent hunters. They have a hunting success rate of about 90%. And also to the left, further toward the back, those are the sable antelopes. Sable antelopes are the official emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve because just as they are very protective over their herds and their young, we are protective over the animals here on the reserve. Animals like those wildebeest, also to the left. Wildebeests are migratory animals. When they migrate, they can do it in numbers of up to 1.5 million. When they migrate in numbers as large as that, their migration can be seen all the way from space. But now there is a fan favorite coming into view all the way across the savannah there. You know them, you love them. It's the Maasai giraffes. So don't worry, we should be able to get a lot closer to the giraffes in just a second. In the meantime, we do have a better view of the Ankole cattle now to the right. Now these giraffes who are migrating across the savannah there to the right, they're probably migrating to find a new food source. Food is definitely the #1 priority for the giraffes, since they spend about 16 to 20 hours of their day eating, which leaves them with only about 30 minutes for deep sleep. Now the giraffes do still take frequent naps throughout the day. Their naps just aren't super long. They only last about 2 to 3 minutes at a time. So giraffes do sleep standing up sometimes too if they wish. So these giraffes, honestly, I don't know their age. We got a bunch of giraffes here on the reserve, so I cannot tell you. But their average lifespan is about 30 to 40 years, more toward 40 if they live in captivity. So I'd say, based on their size, they were probably about 15-ish years old. That's around the age of most of the giraffes here on the reserve. Now here comes one. We'll see where it decides to migrate. There are a few more also hanging out over to the left. Now I talked about how often the giraffes eat. I want to hear about their eating habits too, apparently. So when they eat, they use their long tongues to help them out. A giraffe's tongue is about the same length as our human forearm. So that's from the elbow to the wrist, or about 18 inches. Now also to the left, there's another animal over there with really pretty spiral horns. That's called an eland. Elands are the #1 largest antelopes on the reserve, measuring about 6 feet tall at their shoulders.
Oh, another
That's
one.
about the same height as baby Maasai giraffes
Like
when they're first
another
born.
one.
So giraffes obviously do a lot of growing throughout their lives to get to that maximum height of about 20 feet tall, making them the tallest animal in the world. But friends, it looks like the good luck that we've had so far is going to continue. To the right, what an awesome view of this African elephant. So he was standing in the water there in order to get a better view, or kind of get a better angle at some of the yummy leaves over there behind the rocks. So he was stretching that prehensile trunk in order to get to those leaves. Prehensile just means finger-like, so elephants can bend or stretch their trunks in any direction that they choose. So they also like to use their trunks to drink and to splash mud or water up onto their backs. And elephants can even hold about 5 gallons of water inside their trunks at a time. Kind of like the world's largest drinking straw. Now friends, I'm really happy that we had such an awesome look at one elephant on our safari, especially because elephants are an animal that could use a little bit of human help. So they are considered an endangered species, mainly due to things like the poaching of their ivory tusks and because of significant habitat loss. Now luckily there are a lot of great organizations out there that do some pretty cool work to try to help these animals out. One of those organizations is the Disney Conservation Fund. So my personal favorite conservation success story has to do with something called the Elephants and Bees Project.
Yes.
This project came about because there was a big conflict occurring in Africa between the elephants and the farmers. You see, elephants were wandering into the farmers' crops and therefore destroying them, which didn't make the farmers super happy. So once the Disney Conservation Fund learned that elephants are afraid of bees, they applied this knowledge by building fences made out of beehives, and they put them all along the farmers' crops, therefore protecting and saving the elephants, and it gave the farmers an extra crop to sell, which is the honey from the bees. So it was a win-win for everyone involved. So my friends, this story is just one tiny fraction of all of the different kinds of work that the Disney Conservation Fund does to help endangered animals that we love so much, like those African elephants. If you look way out there in the distance to the left, you can see a few more elephants. We're going to keep trucking along. We'll try to catch up to them. They can move pretty fast, though. So as we try to catch up to those elephants, you might notice a few fallen trees out there to the left. Elephants are known as the bulldozers of the savannah, so wherever you see fallen trees, there usually aren't elephants super far away. So elephants, they are some of the largest land mammals, weighing in around 14,000 pounds. So they use all of those 14,000 pounds of strength and muscle to move those trees down. They use their tusks to help them as well. But as we head into the water, we are getting a little closer to another animal. It's the greater flamingos. So, of course, we know that flamingos are pink, right? But when they're born, they are instead a light grayish color. They look like little light gray fluff balls.
There's a baby out there.
You probably won't see any fluff balls out on that Mickey-shaped island, but there are some baby flamingos. They're just about 1 year old at this point, though, so they're pretty much fully grown. So flamingos, they don't get that completely pink color until they turn about 2 to 2.5 years old and consume lots of brine shrimp. Brine shrimp contains a substance known as beta-carotene, and that is what turns the flamingos pink. So now, my friends, as we head into the eastern part of the savannah and keep our eyes peeled for some more animals, and hearing that story that I told you back there about the Disney Conservation Fund and the work that they did for the elephants, if you would like to contribute to some of that work, you could always make a donation to the fund at any merchandise location here in the park. But of course, donating is not the only way to help. Even just taking a safari and choosing to learn more about these animals was a great first step. Now, friends, if you look to the left, there is a cheetah. There's two of them. One's laying down, one's walking along the perimeter there, kind of heading toward those orange rocks. So cheetahs are amazing. They are the fastest animal on the savannah. From a standing position, they can reach top speeds of 60 to 70 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. So when they reach this top speed, they use their tail like a rudder on the back of a boat in order to help them maintain their balance and to control their steering. And as if the cheetahs couldn't get any more adorable, they are the only cats on the savannah that purr.
Aww.
But speaking of cats, the eastern part of the savannah is considered big cat territory, especially as we approach the Gobi Rocks to the left. And look who's chilling out there to the left. There is a male lion. He's kind of laying down in between those two clusters of trees out there. You might be able to see the scruffy part of his mane. You can kind of see his ear as well. So this is our friend Dakari. He was actually the model for Simba in the live-action version of The Lion King. So not only is Dakari famous, but we got to see the real live Simba on our safari. How cool is that? Now I know that we didn't get the best view of our friend Dakari. He was kind of hiding from us there. So we'll make our way around the rocks. Maybe we'll be able to see him again. Might be able to see a female somewhere nearby as well. In the meantime, though, you might see some ostriches out to the right, or a waterbuck. That's that animal with the brown shaggy coat. As the waterbuck's name suggests, they do consume an abnormally large amount of water throughout their day. But now, friends, you can see the female to the left. She's laying down right before that kind of darker rock. She really stands out, the contrast of her coat versus the rocks. Glad that we're getting one more good view. Now, lions, they rest for about 16 to 20 hours of the day. They're much more active at night since that's when their eyesight gets 6 times better. So at nighttime, that's when the female lions will do the hunting for the pride. Girl power! And the males will hang back and they make sure that their pride is protected. So the males have a job to do too. They're like stay-at-home dads. Looks like those ostriches are kind of migrating through the road there. So we'll go nice and slow. At least it gives us an entertaining view. Now, ostriches are the largest birds in the world. Although they can't fly, they can reach top speeds of roughly 40 miles per hour. So that actually makes them the fastest animal on only 2 legs. So when the ostriches run, they fan their beautiful wings out to help them achieve that top speed, and they use their 2 toes to help them remain stable and balanced. Now you can see the waterbucks once again to the right. One of my favorite things about them is their cute little heart-shaped noses. Now again, we will go pulley-pulley or slowly near these ostriches since they are really close to the road. But it certainly gives us a great view to the right. Now also, in addition to the ostriches, there are some ostrich eggs to the right too. So ostriches lay some of the largest eggs in the animal kingdom. They weigh about 3 pounds each. So that's the equivalent to 3 dozen chicken eggs. And then the ostrich eggs are so strong that if a fully grown human were to stand on an ostrich egg, the egg would not break. Oh. And I'll give you a quick fun fact about those ostriches that we saw. All of the animals here on the reserve do have their own name. The ostriches are named after the Muppets characters. My favorite one is Rizzo, like the rat. But we are now heading into Magadi Glen, which is where our reserve warden hangs out from time to time. The warden recently domesticated some Nigerian dwarf goats. So to the left, looks like the Nigerian dwarf goats are all sheltering from the rain there. They're not super big fans, can't say that I blame them. But all of those goats, they are fully grown, that is as big as they will get. So although Nigerian dwarf goats are relatively small in size, they do still make a big contribution to the reserve since they provide our reserve with milk and cheese. But with those sweet little goats, that does mean that our adventure together is coming to an end. However, there is still one more thing for you to explore, and that is how these animals made you feel. Did they make you smile or make you laugh? Did the animals or their facts make you gasp in amazement? Well, if so, then I invite you to head on home and share some of these experiences. Not only so you can relive this adventure over and over again, but that way you can help to spread awareness about some of the amazing animals we got to see. Now, you might be thinking, well, I'm just one person, so how do I make a difference? But I want to remind you, my friends, that one of the biggest threats to both these animals and to our beautiful planet here is the belief that someone else is going to save them. But with that being said, whether you choose to make a donation, have a conversation, or even just by showing these animals some appreciation, you truly do have the power to keep these animals here for many, many generations to come.
Hey! Come back, wherever you are! Oh!